Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live, and welcome to the broadcast. Tonight, we're going to try and smile a little. For those of you who are not aware of the broadcast, let me just explain. We do 3 broadcasts a week. The first one is on a Friday lunchtime, Pacific time, where we learn something. The next one is Friday evening. That's this one, where we smile. And then we do another one on Sunday afternoon at 3:30 Pacific, where we just slow everything down. It's called a Soul Sunday broadcast, where we just slow everything down. It's almost like a meditation. And the reason that we do that is because if we can continue to learn, especially about emotional intelligence, if we can continue to learn, if we can continue to laugh, and if we can continue to be able to just relax and be soulful, those 3 pillars, if you like, I think make for a happy life for those of you who want it. So I'd like to welcome you all, whether you are watching now or on the replay. Please remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. The reason I ask for that is because that is where we put up sort of what I call the extended family news. You know, for example, Lauren's sister got married today. For example, for those of you who know Farmer, he was in an accident yesterday, but pleased to tell you both he and the car survived. You know, those sort of things would normally go up on Facebook. We use it like a notice board for everybody. So hi there to Jody and to Nolene. We just want to make sure that life continues to just be, and we're doing the best we can with our big extended family. Hi, Isabel. With our big extended family, where we try to balance each other out. And, you know, it's really important to have that extended family, especially if you don't have a particularly supportive family of your own. And that is exactly why I started DearMamaSal. It's not because any of us is perfect. It's because all of us live lives. And if we have lives at all, then we're going to have stress. We're going to have sadness. We're going to have excitement. We're going to have all those things. And the interesting thing is that if you can do it with other people supporting you, it just makes it that much easier. However, I will say that we all appear to have learned a great deal this year. I am so glad I decided to concentrate on emotional intelligence, because I can definitely see with a number of people it is making a difference. Our topic this evening is to smile, and what I wanted to smile about to start with was some interesting things said about school and education. I'm certain a lot of you probably have some interesting things to say about school and education, but here are some that I found. Somebody once said that I spent 113,880 hours of my life for a piece of paper and a handshake. Now, how many of you feel that the education you got was actually a very little value to you after you left school? Hi, Nasha, good to see you. You know, and it's important to understand that, you know, sometimes that's the way that it is. I can remember that I knew one young man who just didn't fit in well at school at all. He couldn't study, he didn't like it, and then he went to cadets. And he loved cadets. And I want to tell you, when he got into cadets, he found studying fun. Why? He was studying for the right reasons. He was studying for something that he loved and wanted to do well at. And he did. And he did very well. He studied very hard, and he did extremely well. So sometimes what we learned at school, you know, is a very little, or it feels like it has been a very little benefit to us. And if any of you have any comments about that, just let me have them. So now, it was said once that a child educated only at school is an undereducated child. I was really fortunate. I grew up on a big farm, like over 3,000 acres. And I think I learned an awful lot out of being on my own. I learned to sort of deal with stuff and survive and do all sorts of things just by virtue of I would go off in the morning and ride my horse, and sometimes wouldn't be seen again until the evening. Now, it's funny because things were different in those days. People didn't panic in case I was, abducted or whatever. It was just the way it was then. I would get up in the morning, I'd go and groom my horse and everything else, and I'd get my packed lunch and everything ready, and then off I'd go, adventuring for the day. And I don't know about you guys, but I think we learned a lot from doing that. And it's just that it's so sad in a way that we have become so insulated and so fearful of being, of letting our children just go play in the street even. Bill Watterson said, I drag my body to school, but my spirit refuses to go. I think it's, for some of us, that was it. I wonder what subjects you enjoyed. What subjects did you enjoy most at school? It's interesting when I think about it now that the subjects I enjoyed most, surprisingly enough, I really enjoyed religious studies at school. I have to say that. I really, Beth saying recess was her favorite subject. Yeah, I really did well at, obviously, drama. I was into everything to do with drama. I was obviously into anything to do with creativity. I was into artwork and all that sort of stuff. And I'm trying to think, and sports, So, but academically, I didn't do too badly. It was just that it wasn't my big interest. It wasn't that I was, bottom of the class or anything at anything. I just didn't, like it as much. All right, so Jodie's saying she most enjoyed English, writing, spelling. Sorry, Jodie. Music and art. Yes. Oh, I forgot music. Yes, I was big into music as well. What did you play an instrument, Jodie? Just so we know. Did anybody else play an instrument at school? As some of you know, I played the flute, and the guitar, but I played the guitar later. Yeah. So, when you look back at your schooling, did it shape in some way the life you live today? Jodie played the clarinet and the keyboards. Well, how about that? Can you still play the keyboards, Jodie? What a great way to keep your fingers moving. I often wonder about that for those of you who understand arthritis. If you have arthritis, is it better to keep them going? In other words, would playing the piano be good for you, or is it bad for you? I often wonder that about my, I've got a little bit of a challenge with my left hip, and I'm forcing it to work, whether it wants to or not. I'm actually making it work, and I'm doing pretty well. Beth, you'll be so proud of me. I got some leg weights, leg and arm weights, that they're only £1 each, but boy, £1 is quite a bit, isn't it? I was quite surprised. I'm going, wow, that's only £1, But I did put them on, and I'm now doing exercises with them on. So thank you for that idea. It was very kind of you. That's what I love about being part of the extended family, is we all, give each other great ideas. Einstein said, education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned at school. Yeah. Okay. So Jodie is saying, because Jodie is our sort of Dr. Jodie, we call her that because she's full of knowledge, all right, in terms of these things. Jodie says, yes, she loves the keyboard, Christmas music. Keeping the arthritic joints as mobile as possible is a benefit. Okay, so any of you who've got any joints that are feeling a bit cranky, like mine, use them as much as you can. And, that's what my feeling was, Jody, that if you've got arthritis, that probably, spending time every day playing the keyboards would be of benefit. So that's good to hear. I actually make sure I do these sort of exercises every day and really, make make the joints work. I don't know why, but that's my sense is I need to just keep them going. And there's some funny ones going on in my neck that I'm not so sure about. All right, so Beth says, when I stop moving, I feel the Tin Man, like the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. I need to be oiled up. Wow, that describes it so well. That's how I feel when I get up in the morning. I sort of go, okay, now I'm awake. Now I need time for my muscles to start working. And then when I actually stand up, I have to wait for a second to make sure that they can hold me upright. And then I move. So, yeah, I understand that. All right, how about this one? In school, you're taught a lesson, and then you're given a test. In life, you're given a test that teaches you a lesson. Isn't that amazing? All right. So in school, you learn it first, and then you get tested on your understanding of the lesson. When you leave school and you actually start to live life, life gives you the lesson by testing you. And I don't know about you, but I've had some lessons that have come back time and time and time again. And, I was talking a little bit at lunchtime about, this whole Mercury and retrograde thing. And, I want to tell you, I was driving the car yesterday and they were out. You know what I mean? The people. The people who I think get up in the mornings just to mess with my driving. There were people doing the strangest things, like the lights would be against them and they'd, suddenly careen in front of me. Or, it was just like, hello. And, I sort of automatically go, is Mercury in retrograde? And I go, yeah, until November the 20th. Expect these things to happen. I love this quote. I think I've quoted it once before, but it's worth repeating. It says, finish last in your league and they call you an idiot. Finish last at medical school and they call you doctor. I don't know about you, but that I actually enjoy watching Doc Martin, if any of you have seen that British program, because he has to be the most crusty, nasty doctor. Very good as a doctor, but yeah, definitely no bedside manner whatsoever. And yet, you got to love him to bits because he means so well. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. Beth's saying she's up 2.5 pounds. Beth, so am I, at least. In fact, far more. Except I didn't want to be. I'm working on it, though. Again. All right, so how about this one? Education can get you the only thing that really matters in today's world, an assigned parking space. Have you ever had one? It really is, isn't it? It really is quite luxurious to have your own assigned parking space. All right, so did anything funny happen to anybody this week? Just, let us know if anything funny happened, because it's always great when we can hear them from life. Somebody once said, Will Durant said, education is a progressive discovery of your own ignorance. I don't know about you, but it's just like just when you start to understand it, you graduate into the next class, and you're completely messed up all over again. I know that they keep building on stuff, but I don't know about you. It felt like, I worked so hard to get good at something, and then you go into the next year, and then you're right back at the beginning again. Do any of you know Maslow's theory? And I say that because I want to tell you, I've been caught with Maslow a number of times. There is this theory that Saul can drop more pens than anybody else I know. That our base need is shelter, and food. And then we go through different levels. The next need we have, is for security, I think. And then it's actually money is probably part of that security. But anyway, it goes up. If you look it up, Maslow's theory. Hang on. It is absolutely amazing. Let me just quickly put it up on my phone so that I can get it right for you. But there were so many times in my life where I thought I had it all under control, and I didn't. All right, it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, so let's do this. All right, so we start off with the physiological needs, which are air, water, food, shelter, sleep, things like that. Okay, and then the next ones are, I was correct, the safety needs, your personal security, employment, things like that. And then the next level up is your need for love and belonging. And then the next level up is your self-esteem. You have respect, you have self-esteem and status and so forth. And then the very top level, at the very top of that triangle, is what they call self-actualization. And that's the desire to become the most that you can be. But the really funny thing that I found is by the time you get all the way up into here, you are so confident that you then go and do something completely different and ends you up right at the bottom again. I did that a number of times in my life. Does that make sense? Where you get enough shelter, food, security, everything else, and then you probably get promoted, and you get promoted a bit more. Sorry, stop that. Get promoted a bit more, and then you end up sort of going, okay, fine, I think I'll become an entrepreneur now. How do I write the name? That was what I was going to do. Thank you very much, Isabel. I will show you. It's a very interesting study. Maslow. M-A-S-L-O-W. It's called the hierarchy of needs. Hi there, Nana. So, but it really is interesting how my whiteboard is falling apart. There we go. How this, your first need is for the shelter and food, and then for security, and then for love. And you end up with this situation right at the end, which is the self-actualization is the very top of that pyramid. And by the time you get there, you take all sorts of different risks that you would never have dreamt of before. And then sometimes it ends you right back at the beginning. Okay, so Maslow. Good one. All right. People learn something every day. And a lot of times it's what they learned the day before was wrong. Hi there, Nana. How many of you agree with that? By the way, I just wanted to say that it is Kim's birthday tomorrow, for those of you who know who Kimmy. And I don't know who else's, because unfortunately I'm having some work done on the website, which is where I have that database stored. And I can't get into the calendar section because we're redoing that at the moment. So if I've forgotten anybody's birthday this week, please forgive me. It is not because of I haven't wanted to. It's because I can't get into that database to let you know. The human brain is special. It starts working as soon as you get up, and it doesn't stop until you go to school. Hi there, Britt. How are you doing? How many of you can remember this? And I don't think it's necessarily gender specific. Mark Twain said, when a teacher calls a boy by his entire name, it means he's in trouble. How many of you, if your mom ever called you by your given name, you knew you were in big trouble. And mine would be all three of my names. I have three names before my surname. And, if I heard Sally, I knew I was in trouble. It was like, depending on how many of my given names she used was how much trouble I was in. Some of you, what is it that you enjoyed most about school? If you did, was there anything about school that you really enjoyed? I was trying to think what it was for me. And for me, I loved the companionship of school. I lived, as you heard, I lived on a farm. So I loved it when I went to school, and I had so many friends at school. It was amazing. Yeah, it's interesting that both the Brit and Nana say that leaving was the bit they looked forward to. Yeah, and Nolene saying the same thing. Isn't that interesting? I enjoyed it. I loved it that, I got to play sports all the time. I loved it that, I got to do things that I didn't get to do at home. And it was amazing, isn't it? How different people had different experience. I actually enjoyed it. Wow, it's interesting how some of you hated, the Brit saying that he hated every moment of being at school. Yeah, Nana's saying high school was hard for her because she just lost her mum. Yeah, I think, to go through a loss like that when you're still at school is horrific. And I can imagine, Britt, with your medical situation, that, life at school would have been a misery for you. Yeah. But it probably taught you a lot about who you could trust in your life and who you couldn't. You were not just bullied by other kids, you were bullied by certain teachers as well. Yep, they're not all perfect either. Yes, it's interesting, Beth. I agree with you. Beth said school was my escape to be free from my home life. I can relate to that to some degree. Jody's saying, I loved seeing my friends every day. And also I stayed after school to help the director paint the set decorations for musicals and things. Yeah, I definitely. So you graduated with honors, Nana. That is incredible. Well done. I, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The Brit saying, yeah, it sure did teach me something about the human race. And that's what I'm a great believer that, we all, even though it was very hard for you, you learn a lot about human nature. So I think, everything in life, I found getting married taught me an awful lot about human nature that I didn't know. I really did grow up in Doris Day and Rock Hudson time, and I really did think that that when you got married, you lived happily ever after, and I didn't know that it was such a pain. And so abusive and all those other things. And so it was interesting. I learned a lot. Yeah, don't do that to yourself on YouTube, Britt. I'd hate for them to ban you. All right, how about this one? How about laziness is nothing more than the habit of resting before you get tired? Oh, while I think about it, Nyasha, I think Nyasha came in. If she's still here, Nyasha, we did a broadcast at lunchtime, which was about active listening, which I thought you might appreciate with what's going on in your life at the moment. By the way, how is your mom doing, Nyasha? Nana, I know that you know Farmer. He was in a car accident yesterday. He came in quickly at the lunchtime broadcast, and I'm pleased to say that both he and the car survived it. But really, oh, I think the Brit would know him as well. Yeah. How about this one? The most ineffective workers are systematically moved to the place where they can do the least damage. It's called management. Have any of you met those people? Have any of you been in a job and thought, yeah, really? To me, it was the most motivating thing. It was the most motivating thing for me because I kept saying to myself, boy, if you can get to management being that stupid, then I'm definitely going to be able to get there. And the worst thing that I found in management was to be logical. I don't know if you found that, Beth, but if you actually have what I call street smarts and you're logical, they don't know how to deal with you. I've told this story a couple of times, but it still makes me laugh. The first time I got into management, I ended up in fact, I ended up on a board of a big company. And the first meeting I went to, they asked me to take the minutes. And I said, oh, I was the only female, of course, because females didn't get to have those positions in those days. But it was so funny because I said to them, listen, if the only reason I'm in this room is to take minutes, I'm going back to work. I've got a lot to do. If you need my opinion on anything, let me know. It's like, no, I'm not taking minutes. Somebody else was taking them before I walked in here. It was, how many of you saw the movie 3.5 Men? Or was it it was 3.5 Men, I think, right? Because, it was so true, wasn't it? That the men automatically handed the baby to the female. Who was it, Kirstie Alley or somebody, and the interesting thing was the female knew no more about babies than they did, but it was just because she was female, she got to hold the baby. And it was just, I always thought that was such a good angle for a movie, that we presume that just because you're male, that you will, not be scared of spiders, or, it is amazing how those stereotypes get formed, right? I thought this was an interesting comment. Oh, Beth is saying, the new store manager asked me why I'm so positive. Just like my first manager who got fired, being positive is key to management. Yeah, I would agree with you. But most people want to enjoy their work, from my experience, and those that don't, it's interesting. The other thing that I found, Beth, is that I was amazed in my time of being employed, how many times staff that were actually maybe even in higher positions than mine would want me in at a meeting, because if there was anybody that was going to call it for what it was, it would be Sal. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, to me, 1 and 1 equal 2. Not 11, 2. And so, to me, it was really interesting. Yeah, I agree with you all about negativity spreads like wildfire. I think it's wildfire rather than, but it's cute like wildflowers. Isn't that nice? It's so much prettier than wildfire. But sometimes I used to quite enjoy the negativity. Do you know what I mean? If I heard negativity going on, I knew something was wrong. And what I would do is I'd call everybody together and say, okay, I'm hearing mutterings about da 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 da. Tell me what's happening from your side. Because I can't help fix it if I don't know what the muttering is about. Does that make any sense? When I was, the other thing was whenever I joined a company, there were two things I wanted to know. What are your strong points? And what are your weaknesses? And it was amazing how many people did not want to give me either of those. And I'm going, wait a minute, think about this. I want to know what you enjoy doing so I can give you more of it. And I want to know what you don't enjoy so that I can support you if you're forced to have to do it, or I can find somebody else to do it for you. And they'd look at me and go, what? All right, because to me, not everybody is good at everything. And nor do I expect you to be. All right. My job as a manager is to bring the best out of everybody. Therefore, let me know what you want to learn. And, if you only know this, but you want to learn this, let me know, because then I'll start, working with you so that you can. And, people used to look at me like I'd come out of some other planet or something. But to me, that was the whole point of it. I can also remember, arriving at one job, Beth, where it was in the publishing business, and they only had one person who knew how to do the typesetting of this particular thing. There was only one person. And when I went in there as management, I found that out, and I said, please tell me that we have more than one person who can do this job. And they were going, no, well, it's Frida. And I said, but what if Frida gets sick? Oh, no, she's never ill. Okay, what if Frida gets hit by a bus? And my number one priority was that every single person had at least one person, preferably two, that could do their job in an emergency. If they had what I call a key position, that if there was an emergency, they could do the job. And I put people in charge of teaching other people how to do stuff. And the interesting thing was, I said, you will know if you're a good manager if you can leave your job and they don't need to call you. You know what I mean? If you've taught them well enough that you can go on vacation and nobody calls you, or you can take a weekend off, Beth, and nobody calls you, then you've done a good job. Or they're in big trouble. It's a bit like children sometimes. And all right, so let's hear what Beth has to say here. She's saying, oh no, first of all, Britt says, one of my bosses used to say, I wouldn't make you do anything that I wouldn't do myself. Yes, that is a very old axiom about management. Don't ask people to do things that you wouldn't be willing to do yourself. That I don't totally agree with, because some people are way better at doing things that I wouldn't want to do, and some people thoroughly enjoy doing them. So I don't totally agree with it, but I understand the axiom. All right, Beth is saying, in retail, it's a whole different world. Negative customers, negative employees with bad attitudes, very challenging with all those personalities. Absolutely. Everyone calls me before the store manager because she's not approachable. Yeah, exactly, Beth. But, you need to know that you're doing it the right way. All right. Are you not a store manager yourself at the moment? Ah, interesting. So after they call you, then you text the store manager what the problem is, and she asks why people talk to you. You step down. Well done, Beth. Well done. You step down. Good girl. So people want to know, why do they come to you? I used to have bosses say the same to me. Why did they bring that problem to you and not to me? Right? Beth, when did that happen? I was not aware that you had done that, obviously. And by the way, well done for looking after your body. I am so proud of you. Two weeks ago. Well, Beth, I'm very, very proud of you. All right. That takes great courage. And, you will always be a manager, Beth. It's one of those things. They can give you any title they like, but you will always be a manager. All right. That's your mentality. You think like a manager. You work like a manager. You train like a manager. You know what I mean? So don't worry about it. I always said you don't have to give me the title. I do the work. I had that happen to me once where I got a huge promotion, Beth. And I remember saying to them, how come you jumped me up so many notches, from here up to here? And they said, well, you've been doing the job for the last year. Everybody knows it. You're the one that's been doing the work. And we all knew it. So we might as well give you the job. So I said, oh, thank you very much. Did you give me the salary that goes with it? How many of you can recognize this one? Sometimes I am so tired. I look down at what I'm wearing, and if it's comfortable enough to sleep in, I don't even make it into my pajamas. I'm looking down and I'm like, t-shirt and stretchy pants. Yeah, that's pajamery. Good night. If any of you I recognize that. Yeah, Beth, you were working 70 hours a week between the two jobs and losing weight. Yeah, exactly. How can you possibly look after yourself doing that? I'm really very, very, excuse me, I'm very, very proud of you, honey. You're not allowed to do that. Really? The last time I checked, I was an adult. I can do whatever I like. Oh, yes, but you live at home. I don't live at home. I live in my own house. Yeah, and Britt, I understand that your mum would really have a conniption if you did that. But you know something? My attitude is, I think one of the greatest things about being a grown-up is you can do what you want to do. And, it's just like, I laugh about it, but, it's like being retired. You know what I found most about being a retired person is to stop yourself saying, it's Sunday, I need to do, like, oh, no, I don't need to do on a Sunday. I got the whole week. In fact, I might have the whole of my life in which to do that. I no longer have to do it on a Sunday. Because what you realize when you retire is how much your life is driven by what day it is and what time of the day it is. How many of you, if any of you have ever had children, you probably relate to this one. The quickest way for a parent to get a child's attention is to sit down and look comfortable. I can remember somebody saying, I think I must have a bell attached to my rear end because as soon as it stops ringing, my wife will ask me to do something. Yeah, it's interesting. The Brit's saying that his father says that since he's retired, he's never been so busy. I feel like that as well. I'm amazed where the days go. Ray Romano, for those of you who know the actor, he said everybody should have children. They're the greatest joy in the world, but they are also terrorists. You'll realize this and soon as they are born and start using sleep deprivation to torture you. Or just they like to worry you sick, right? All right, and it was this guy said that I don't know what's more exhausting about parenting: the getting up early or the acting like you know what you're doing. And trying to answer the questions. Well, it's interesting that he gets more tired now than when he was working. I think it's a combination, Britt, and I find the same thing. I often ask myself, how did I ever work 8 hours a day and get all this done as well? And I think what happens, Britt, is we stop working on autopilot and we actually find out what our natural speed is. And our natural speed is not nearly as fast as we thought it was. It's not that we're lazy, we just balance out. That's what I found anyway. I'm still a very busy person. I still do a lot. But boy, I'm not, doing the hamster wheel speed that I used to do. I don't know if any of you relate to this one. This is Chelsea Handler said, obviously, if I was serious about having a relationship with somebody long term, the last people I would introduce them to would be my family. Oh, by the way, for those of you who may follow the Hallmark romantic movies, it's that time of the year again, and the single princes from around the world suddenly are cropping up again. I was so surprised. I went to go and watch one, and there we go. There's another eligible prince. How about that? There's so many of them. And how do you like this one? My nickname is Mom, but my full name is Mom, 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 Mom. And this is rather cute. The definition of a toddler, okay? An emotionally unstable, pint-sized dictator with the uncanny ability to know exactly how far to push you towards utter insanity before reverting to a lovable little creature. I think we should all have that on our fridges, or whenever somebody who has had a child. Oh, that was the other thing Farmer told us, right, Jody? That he's going to be a grandfather at Christmas. How about that? And now we got some quotes. Okay, so, Beth is asking, have I thought about using Patreon to subscribe? That's a channel where people actually, subscribe to you a little bit every month. Something, I have thought about it. I've spoken to people who've done it, and quite honestly, I really something, Beth. I don't think it necessarily works. I don't know. I believe Leah did it. So that's an interesting point. So the Brit thought Farmer was already a granddad. I don't think so. He's welcoming a granddaughter. That's what yeah. Thank you, Jody. Thank you for the addition. And the way that he said it, I didn't know. You could be quite right, Britt, when we'll ask him next time we speak to him. No, you could be right. I didn't mean to say that you were wrong. You may be absolutely right. I just didn't know that. I didn't think he was old enough myself, but yeah, such is life. Roger Dangerfield said, "My wife and I were happy for 20 years, and then we met." Oh, all right. So the Brit saying, yeah, he's got a feeling that he's about to become a granddad again. All right. Well, neither of us know. So why don't we find out? You know, Beth saying that she'd be interested in seeing me do the painting videos. One of the things I am really looking forward to in terms of getting the house sold and moving is to settle down and be able to start doing the videos again that I was enjoying. You know, the cooking ones and the experiments and all those sort of things. But they take time to put together and they take time to edit. And, you know, I just haven't got the time to produce them at the moment. But it is something, you know, and also, you know, it makes a big mess, right? I think in some ways I'm still trying to clean up the mess from the day I tried to paint an umbrella. That was quite something, because the umbrella accidentally the umbrella accidentally suddenly flipped itself closed, and when it did that, you know, an awful lot of paint went in a lot of directions. Yes, once I get settled again. So hopefully within the next year, if we got everything, you know, but you know something, Beth, I've got a feeling I will start painting again, seriously, before I, you know, unpack. You know, it's just like, I'm so looking forward. This will be, okay, fine. I know how to make coffee and I know how to make my food. You know, I've got those two unpacked. I've got a bed. And you know, the next thing is going to be my paints. So that's the important part. Einstein said, "Women marry men hoping they will change, and men marry women hoping they will not. So each is inevitably disappointed." Now, Rita Rudner said, "I love being married. It's so great to find one special person that you want to annoy for the rest of your life." Now, this one I think is a great. Somebody's got a great sense of humor here. "My brother is gay, and my parents don't care, just as long as he marries a doctor." Or a lawyer. So Ray Romano again said that my wife gets all the money I make. I just get an apple and clean clothes every morning. And it was said that 80% of married men cheat in America. The rest cheat in Europe. Phyllis Diller, the British comics, no, she was American. All right, she said, "Marry a man of your own age. As your beauty fades, so will his eyesight." Okay, Beth saying that she wants to send me an email about something private that requires additional support. Is that okay? Absolutely, Beth. And you know, I will get to it just as soon as I can. Okay. I could be in the middle of more negotiations on the house this weekend. So just know that I'll get back to you. Well, you know that of me. Just as soon as I can breathe, I will get back to you. Ah, no problem at all, Beth. Write it whenever you can. And you know, it's very therapeutic to write it. I really recommend to people that they do write when they've got stuff like that going on, because they're in the writing, you actually answer a lot of your own questions. Oscar Wilde, so this one's quirky, said that marriage is a triumph of imagination over intelligence. Second marriage is a triumph of hope over experience. And then again, he said, men marry because they're tired, and women because they're curious, and then again, they're both disappointed. All right, so here's some funny quotes about women. Mike Finetta said, the most terrifying thing any woman can say is, notice anything different? Have you ever done that? And I really feel sorry for men when women say that. Did you notice anything different? And they're pretty sure that you either had you changed something on your eyes, your hair, or you bought something new, like new clothes or new shoes. So they have to take a second to just sort of physically check to see what they're missing. Because no, they didn't notice. Otherwise, they would have said something. Here again from Oscar Wilde. Crying is for plain women. Pretty women go shopping. And it was said that a woman's mind is cleaner than a man's. She changes it more often. Excuse me. This is a nice one. Feminine intuition is a fiction and a fraud. It's nonsensical, illogical, emotional, ridiculous, and practically foolproof. And Milton Byrne, he said, the problem with life is by the time you can read women like a book, your library card has expired. And Mike Finetta again said, when my wife says that she'll be ready in 5 minutes, I know I have just enough time to fly to space, write a poem on the moon, or just before we go. How many of you got that visual? I'll be ready in 5 minutes. Okay, fine. Let me just quickly pop up to the moon, and when I'm there, I'll write a quick poem and come back again. Yeah, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, now this one, forgive me if it sounds a little blasphemous or blasphemous, depending on how you say it. God made Adam first because he didn't want any advice from Eve on how to make Adam. This is what you got, like it or not. And John Harold said this. He said, women give us solace, but if it were not for women, we would never need solace. And John Mason Brown said, America is the land where men govern, but women rule. And they're about to do more so, I fear. Not fear. I believe that we're about to see a major swing towards more women ruling. All right, so let's see what we've got here. Now, here's some funny quotes about men. So we've had our women ones, so let's do some men ones. Why do men like intellectual women? Kathy Lett said, because opposites attract. And by the way, it has not been my experience that men do like intellectual women. I don't know about you guys, but... And Molly McGee said, when a man brings his wife flowers for no reason, there's a reason. And then Laura Swenson said, men are like a deck of cards. You'll find the occasional king, but most are jacks. Coffee, chocolate, men. The richer, the better. And this one I think is also so true, right? A man is already halfway in love with any woman who will listen. How many of you agree with it? All right, that, you know, one of the greatest things, and we were talking about that at lunchtime today, about active listening. You know, I think if you can listen to a man, you have won a lot of the battle. And, you know, and if you can understand, they do not multitask the way that we do. And, you know, I still believe that the book Men Are From Mars and Women From Venus is you know, was one of the most important books for people to understand that we just do things completely differently, don't we? You know, we can, you know, there have been times when, I think I've told you that when at December, the people, you know, will say to me, how can I possibly read that stuff, the feed so quickly and answer people the way that I do? And I said, I'm a woman. I am capable of, you know, chewing gum and talking at the same time, you know, because it's just like it requires, you know, you can't focus on one thing. You have to be able to sort of store it for a little while. I think also, you know, how many of you have found that I can sort of hold some information, not as much as I used to, but I can hold some information in my brain and get back to it a little bit later when I need it. So I sort of watch the scroll to see what is being said, and then I go back and answer that person as soon as I'm able to. It has been said that a true man wants two things: danger and play. For that reason, he wants a woman, because they are the most dangerous plaything. All right, so now we got a couple of quotes about laughing at ourselves, which is a very healthy thing to do. You grow up the day you have your first real laugh at yourself. How many of you get more humor out of laughing at yourself than you do at laughing at other people? You know, if you really need to have a day in my life, because I spend a lot of my time chuckling at myself. Yeah, I got to the stage where I will be working on something, and I will change a screen on the browser to go find the information I need for what I'm working on. And by the time I get there, I've forgotten what it is I need. So then I go back to where I was, and then I get distracted. And a half an hour later, I go, wait a minute, what was I trying to do? Am I the only one? It's just like, what I hate about the internet is it distracts me so much from focusing on what I'm trying to do. Beth said after 30 years with my husband, I would not listen because I thought I knew what he was going to say. We were talking about that at lunchtime as well. I had to relearn how to listen because we had lost something in each other. It was communication. Yes, absolutely, Beth. And that's why I talk today about how to be an active listener as opposed to a pretend listener. And so hopefully you'll get a chance to listen to some of that if you haven't already. Jodie's saying she laughs at herself every day. Yeah, I must admit, I laugh at myself every day, at least once or twice. Welcome back, Britt. If people never did silly things, nothing intelligent would ever get done. Right? How many of you know the story about the Post-it note? Got some here somewhere. All right. So you all know how the Post-it note came about, right? So, to me, I think, the other thing was, what was the other thing that was a mistake? The Post-it note, the glue didn't work properly. All right. And they were about to have a major trouble until somebody said, hang on a second, I could do with that. Give me some of that. And he started to make, put bits of paper up with this non-permanent glue. And, he turned it into, how many of you could live without Post-it notes now, right? And so the other thing like that was Teflon. Teflon was a mistake. I can't remember what happened. The guy was trying to mix two elements together, two compounds, whatever. And it suddenly created this, black muck, and it, you couldn't break it. Or, it was, pretty difficult to break it. And the guy went home and thought, wait a minute. There has to be a use for that. And then he thought that would make a great film for a frying pan. And so he tried it, and, Teflon was born. I love those stories. I don't know about you. Humor is by far the most significant activity of the human brain. All right? Humor is by far the most significant activity of the human brain. I think that's beautiful. Dr. Seuss said, I like nonsense. It wakes up the brain. How many of you love to laugh until you cry? How many of you, just at the words, the Oz, you will start to laugh because you can remember laughing so hard that you hurt? And so, you look at these things and go, it's so good to have that laughter. I got under, I had some things going on this week that were pretty stressful. And so I intentionally went looking for some Carol Burnett. And, I found some stuff with Tim Conway that, quite honestly, I hadn't seen before. And I just, laughed so much. And I just went, I wonder whether they realized that they were going to leave legacies that we would continue to laugh. The shows were over so many years ago, and yet, we're still laughing at them today. It's like Faulty Towers, for any of you who've seen that British thing with John Cleese. They only did 2 seasons, and yet, how many of us have watched those 2 seasons over and over again and still, probably can almost say the lines of every one of the episodes, but still laugh until you cry. And I think that's beautiful. Alan Alda of MASH fame said when people are laughing, they're generally not killing each other. Right? Isn't that true, right? If we're laughing, we're not hating on somebody. Yeah, Jodie's saying about the Carol Burnett skits, when you find one, she said it's like a treasure to find a skit you haven't seen before. Well, that's why I had to share it with you, Jodie, because I'm going, there were at least 2 or 3 in that compilation that I had never seen. And I reckon I'd seen them all and many times over. And then I thought, well, if I haven't seen all of them, then the chances are Jodie hasn't seen them. I know you appreciate them. We should consider every day lost on which we have not danced at least once. And we should call every truth false which was not accomplished by at least one laugh. Isn't that nice? So it's not about, did you make yourself laugh today? Did you make somebody else laugh today? As some of you know, Jodie, Lauren, and I have a mission every day that we will make each other laugh. Now, it's sort of like an unwritten mission, but if they write something to me and I end up laughing, I just write MA, mission accomplished, because I think it's important for them to know that they did make me laugh, and because they know what it feels like. Yeah, Britt is asking me if I remember Till Death Do Us Part. Yes, absolutely. In Sickness and in Health, I can't remember that one. One Foot in the Grave, I do remember that one. Yep. I have to agree with George Bernard Shaw. He said, my way of joking is to tell the truth. It's the funniest joke in the world. I don't know if any of you, I always used to say that when I was on stage, I'd get up on stage and people would be laughing so hard in the audience, they'd be doubled over laughing. And I'd say to them, one of the greatest gifts I was ever given was my gift of observation, because I don't have to tell jokes, I just have to tell you about my life. And okay, what is the shoe still game? Nana? The show. Oh, still game. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that is a spin-off from another one, I believe, if I got it right. Yeah. Good humor is a tonic for the mind and the body. It's the best antidote for anxiety and depression. It's a business asset. It attracts and keeps friends. It lightens human burdens. It's the direct route to serenity and contentment. How about that? Good humor is a tonic for the mind and the body. For those of you who have suffered great illness, I wonder, and perhaps you could let me know, did you find, that being able to laugh eased the pain? I think some of you know that I actually inaugurated the humor room at the cancer clinic here in Vancouver because I truly believed that humor would help people forget for a second what pain they were in or what a difficult situation they were in. And we filled that humor room with the funniest videos that we could find, with the funniest books we could find. I personally went in there and, did speeches for them on a regular basis so that they could laugh at me. Because I really do believe it's important. The Brit saying he misses Friends. I loved watching that. Well, Brit, you can watch Friends over and over again these days. I'm pretty sure Friends is on YouTube. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I'm pretty sure. And certainly if you've got any Netflix or Prime or any of those things, one of them Netflix has it probably, yeah. That's right. So you can watch it over and over again. 25 years, is it? And I believe it's tomorrow that is the 30th anniversary of the Berlin Wall coming down. Isn't that amazing? Jody says, I don't know where I'd be without a sense of humor. It changes the tone on how I accept my challenges every day. It makes it easier to cope. Yeah, I quite agree. I think that's really, really important one for you to understand, that if you are struggling, if you are overwhelmed, if you are, for example, I have a couple of things that I do. If I start to get overwhelmed, I will do two things. Number one is I will get out of the house. I will make a point of going out and go shopping or do something that gets me in front of different people and, get me out of the routine. It also gives me a break away from the emails that are asking me to make important decisions or whatever. I just need that break. And the other thing I do is I will take an hour to just laugh. I will get some humor going because, I find it helps balance my mind again. What do you guys do? When you get overly stressed, what do you do to just get yourself back in balance? I'm just having a look to see where is my blood pressure, my resting heart rate. One of the things I was saying is that during all this stress of trying to get the house sold, the two things I'm concentrating on is, number one, trying to keep my blood sugar under control. Halloween made that a little bit difficult. And the other one is to keep my resting heart rate as low as I can. Because if I can do that, then I know I'm pretty safe, right? Yeah, Nana's saying Rick gets me out, and it works. Yeah, and that's really important. And though, do you get Rick out as well? I would imagine. Britt, the YouTube people don't like the word blow. I just want to tell you about that. So just so that you know, when you use that, it actually filters you. Even if you use it in the context that you did. I just need you to understand that. Okay. All right. So the Brit says, when my dad makes me angry, by the way, your dad doesn't make you angry. You make yourself angry. When my dad makes me angry, I walk out and go for a nice long walk. Yeah. Well, you can say an awful lot on here. You just need to say it politely. That's the difference, Brit. Which is why I chose to come here. Jody is saying, when she gets overwhelmed, prayer, laughter, meditation with music, YouTube videos, they all help me when I'm stressed. Yeah, I decided I needed to get an hour's cat nap today before I did the next broadcast because I haven't been too well. And the interesting thing was, what I did is I actually put on some piano music. And, even after half an hour, I could feel the difference. And I sort of woke up because something happened and I woke up and I went, that's all I needed. I just needed that half an hour. And so I got up and made myself something to eat. And I was ready to go again. I don't know, Nana. I don't want to. I just know they didn't like the way that the Brits said it. I think they might have interpreted it to be sexual, the way that he said it. So not realizing, where he's from. How many of you like this one? Humor. Oh, sorry. I will never put off until tomorrow that I can forget about forever. That's called downsizing. I think one of the greatest things that I found about downsizing was how many half-finished projects I found, and how many half-opened, half-used things that I found. And I'm really struggling at the moment. I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but I'm really struggling not to put anything in my freezer. I found out I compulsively do not wish to throw food away. I will make something from it, and I will put it in the freezer. And so I'm desperately hard trying not to do that. I'm desperately hard going, if you can't eat it, then throw it away. And because what it really is teaching me is I buy too much, that's for sure. So, this is all part of it. All right, Brick, bye-bye. Be well. Yeah. Nana, it's I've never seen them actually react to that, but I think because the word blow actually refers to drugs and or a sexual connotation, that they probably have a warning on it. They gave me the option to allow it, but I actually was just trying to warn the Brit that they don't like it. I was trying to be helpful, but he took it personally. But I can't control that, so that is his right. It's just one of those words that the way that he worded it, it could have had that connotation. Somebody asked me if I was stranded on a desert island, what book would I bring? Yeah, if you were stranded on a desert island, what book would you bring, guys? Let's hear what it is before I give you Stephen Wright's answer. And if it's Stephen's right, that it's going to be funny. If you were stranded on a desert island and you could only take one book with you, which one would you bring? Okay, Nyasha. Sleep well, honey. Thank you for being here. Let us know how your mom is doing if you get a chance, because we haven't had an update this week. Yeah, I was pretty sure that some of you would say the Bible. So, Stephen Wright said the book that he would take, How to Build a Boat. Now, Stephen Wright also said that a clear conscience is usually the sign of a very bad memory. All right, so let's see what we can do. I've got some quotes here from Bill Murray. And he said, okay, Nana, enjoy your food. Bill Murray said, nothing prepared me for being this awesome. It's kind of a shock. It's kind of a shock to wake up every morning and be bathed in this purple light. And I guess my question would be, when you think of Bill Murray, which movie do you think of? if any of you can remember his movies. Okay, no problem, Nyasha. You don't have to do it today. Just let us know, or let me know so I can let other people know. I don't know about you, but my favorite Bill Murray movie had to be What's Up, Bob? I thought he was brilliant in that. I really, really enjoyed that movie with him. Bill Murray also said people are like music. Some speak the truth, others are just noise. And I thought this was incredibly inspiring from Bill Murray. He said, an inspirational thing, he said, don't think about your errors or failures. Otherwise, you'll never do a thing. Yes, Groundhog Day. You're correct, Jody. I forgot that one. That was quite something, wasn't it? Don't think about your errors or your failures. Otherwise, you'll never do a thing. You know, when you're trying to tackle something new, think about your successes. And that's why I like to do experiments on things. All right. To me, you know, it's not quite so bad when it doesn't go right if it was just an experiment. You know, okay, so I found out how it doesn't work. That's good. You know, that's what experiments are for. He also said there's a wonderful sense of well-being that begins to circulate up and down your spine, and you feel something that makes you almost want to smile. So what's it like to be me? Ask yourself, what's it like to be me? The only way we will ever know what it's like to be you is if you work your best at being you as often as you can. And keep reminding yourself that's where home is. All right? Don't keep trying to adjust to everybody else. Just be who you are. You know, I'm a great believer in be who you are, but improve, you know, work on improving yourself all the time. But, you know, the truth is you are who you are. And some people are going to love you for that, and some people are not. And that's okay. The more relaxed you are, the better you are at everything. The better you are with your loved ones, the better you are with your enemies, the better you are with your job, and the better you are with yourself, the more relaxed you are. Bill Murray also said, I live a little bit on the seat of my pants. I try to be alert and available for life to happen to me. We're in this life, and if we're not available, that sort of ordinary time goes past and you didn't live it. But if you're available, life gets huge, and then you're really living it. Jody, I was thinking about you and the travel that you're planning to do next week, and the fact that the weather forecast said that there's a cold front coming in. And I'm thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be sad if you actually canceled that trip and then the cold snap wasn't nearly as bad as we thought it was going to be? It is a catch-22. I can remember going on tour one time, and when I read the weather forecast, I literally saw what it was, and I went, okay. And that's why I said to you, you might want to make sure you got a 4x4 if you can possibly rent one. Because what I did was, if the weather's going to be that bad, I want a 4x4. I will feel safer. And by the way, I was so glad that I did. I paid the extra money, and guess what? I just knew that I wasn't going to get stuck anywhere. And that was a very good feeling for me. Bill Murray said about acting, I don't believe that you can give the same performance every take. It's physically impossible. So why bother? If you don't do what is happening at that moment, then it's not real. and then you're holding something back. He also said, a moat can be a pretty good thing. It can be lovely, a moat around the castle, that piece of water that goes around the castle, right? It can be lovely. It keeps rodents away from the castle. You can have fish in it, even fish that talk. You can give people access and they can take advantage. My phone would ring 75 times in a row, and finally I would pick it up and say, who the hell is this, right? Oh, hi, I'm calling from so-and-so's office. What kind of person would ever let the phone ring 75 times? And I guess that's when I started thinking, I can do without these people. She's going to be going to Maine, Isabel. Yeah, that's right. So Jodi's saying that there's a catch-22 on this one. They're holding off making the decision until early next week. And I think that's a good idea. And, as I said, I think of it both ways. Number one, I think, you're wise to make sure that you get better understanding of how bad that cold snap is going to be. But secondly, go, okay, fine. If we're going to be out in it, what do I want to be in? Right? A snowmobile, maybe. How long is the trip for you, Jodi? Isabel saying, you're getting closer. Yeah, it's getting closer to you. That's true. Bill Murray said it's hard to be an artist. It's hard to be anything. In fact, it's hard to be. How many of you agree with that, right? That some days it's just hard just to be. And he also said that life is so darn short. Well, it's not quite what he said. And then he said, for something or other's sake, a word I can't use here, do what makes you happy. Oh, Jodi, it's saying, okay, a snowmobile. Yeah, she liked that one. That was a mission accomplished on that. But Jodi, it's only 2 hours. Then I would go. I've got to say that I would get the best 4x4 I could. And I would go if it's only 2 hours. If it were going to be 8 hours, that would be scary. But if it's only 2, that's sort of not nearly as bad. It can still be scary, but it's not as bad. So what else do you fear? You fear probably not just for yourself, but also for the fluff ball, because you'll be taking your dog with you. But you found a hotel that will take a dog. That's great. So, I think, yeah, it's not for any of us to tell you whether to do this trip or not. And I know you'll make a good decision for you. I don't know about you, Jodi, but 2 hours, I think I'd take the risk to some degree. It's the same thing as, I would make, sometimes I would make the call to drive to certain places if it's within a couple of hours, whereas I would not necessarily want to be driving for 4 hours in the same weather. It's funny, isn't it, how that changes? Chris Rock said, if a woman tells you she's 20 and looks 16, she's probably 12. If she tells you she's 26 and looks 26, she's bound to be closer to 40. Yeah, Maine equals ocean. Yes, that's the other important thing. Will you be looking at the ocean at all? Yeah, you see, Jody, would you? That's the question. Are you prepared to take the risk so you can see the sea? You did promise yourself that you would see the sea this year. It's as far as I remember. One more time. So that's another good reason. Are you going inland in Maine or on the coast? And did I tell you, Jody, that I think I've actually visited your town? Did I tell you that? All right. So Nash is saying, I'm back, and in reference to my mom, she's doing excellent. We, myself and my dad, have been taking care of her, cutting foods into smaller portions so it's easier to swallow, to get whatever she needs. Well done, Nyasha. I'm proud of you. So, Jody, that's another plus, right? Not only do you get to see Lionel's family, but you also get to see the coast. But there is a risk. And by the way, Jody, just going in the car is a risk in itself. So, you know, it's risky, whatever you do. Yeah, Nyasha, I'm really happy to hear that that's going well. Well done. I'm so proud of you. I think this has been an important time for your family to see that you are capable of doing a little bit more. Oh, interesting. Chris Rock said, you know, some people say life is short and that you could get hit by a bus at any moment. And then you have to live each day like it's your last. He says he doesn't agree. Life is long. You're probably not going to get hit by the bus. And you're probably going to live with the choices you make. And you're going to have to live with them for the next 50 years. No, Jody, I was thinking the other day, if you know, I just suddenly realized why does your town ring a bell with me? And I thought to myself, you know, I think I came to your town to watch Elton John live. I'm not joking. I think you have a pretty interesting university there. And that's where it was held. And I would suggest that you probably would know whether they do hold big events like that at your university stadium. Because that is what I think. That's why I know your name. Elton John played your town. Yep, she said, yes, we do. And he was here. Yep. And so was I. And so isn't that interesting? You know, I was thinking about it for some time. I'm going, why does that town ring a bell with me? And then I sort of researched it and looked where it was, and I'm going, that doesn't make any sense to me. And then I suddenly thought, you know something? I think I went to see Elton John there. Wow. Nyasha's saying she's been relating some horror stories that she underwent. She almost died there. Well, yes, you know something, Nyasha? That quite often happens, all right? When I say that quite often happens, I probably have got some horror stories I could tell you about things that have happened to me whilst I was in hospital. So it's not, you know, it's not that going to hospital is scary and that you can nearly die. It's like sometimes the procedures they do, and instead of, you know, I would look at it and say, aren't you happy that she didn't die and that the people looking after her did such a good job to keep her going when she nearly died? And Jody's saying, I knew there was a special sparkle in the air, and it wasn't Elton, it was Sal. I got into trouble. I took a picture. I was actually in Nosebleed Alley, you know what I mean, right up at the top somewhere, but I was there. And yes, I did take out, that was the early days of phones that had cameras, or I had my camera with me, and I took a picture, and the next thing I knew, there was a security person saying, if you take one more picture, I will take your camera away forever. I went, got it. Okay. But I, did get the picture. You couldn't get tickets now because Sal had them. It was packed, Jody. I mean, we're talking, wow, it would have been at least 20 years ago that the time that I came there. And it was amazing. It was absolutely packed. I don't think there was a free seat in the place. I don't know how many people that stadium holds. But it was sold out. It was amazing to be, even the fact that he looked about this big on stage from where I was, it was wonderful. Okay, Isabel's saying, I got a flu shot today, the first time. I do not feel great tonight. I guess that's normal. Yes, it is. I was perfect before. Funny. Do you guys take the flu shot? Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't, Isabel. And yes, it is normal because they've just hit you with some of the flu. That's what the flu shot is. They actually give you some of the flu. They give you some of the antibodies, right? And that's why you feel a bit strange. Right, so Niasha's asking me to rephrase something, so just give me a second so that I can read it. Wow, okay, so she was busy trying to do something on her bed, and she accidentally disconnected the oxygen hose. Wow, and couldn't breathe. Well, I hope that it sent off the alarms and they rushed to come and help her. I've had that happen to me, something similar. I woke up in the middle of an operation once, Niasha. Where, it was so peculiar because I was just aware that I had woken up. And being who I am, they had, I couldn't see what they were doing. I could see them working on me. I was having a major abdominal operation. I could see them working on me, but luckily I couldn't see what was going on because they have a sheet up. And I just remember saying, I'm not meant to be awake right now, am I? I wish I'd had a camera with me because all you could see was, the surgeon and all the nurses and everybody suddenly go. And when they all looked at me, I said, I'm not meant to be awake, am I? And the next thing I know was, they covered my face and, and injected me with something else or did whatever they did because I was gone very quickly and before I could feel the pain. And how many of you can imagine me going, I'm not meant to be awake, am I? Okay, so let me see what happens here. All right, Jody is reinforcing that it's normal to feel a bit strange, Isabel, so don't worry about that. Only lasts a day or two. That's good. Niesh is saying no nurse was available on hand to help her. Wow. And she said that no nurse came. And after struggling, trying to get her breath for a while, she said God told her to put the oxygen back on. Wow. And that's what she did. That is amazing. I'm so pleased to hear that. No, it's okay, Isabel. However, if it gets progressively worse, I'd probably speak to my medical person. Well, don't be worried about waking up after surgery. It's when you don't wake up after surgery you want to be worried. I, I personally didn't expect to wake up during surgery. That is not normal. And that's what I was pretty sure that it wasn't normal. So me, I'm going, and it was, it was like, guys, I'm not meant to be awake right now, am I? And if you could have seen their faces, it was priceless. It really was. They sort of literally. And the surgeon, when he spoke to me afterwards, said, if it had been anybody else, he said, I would have been really worried. But he said, with you, he said, it's not the normal reaction people would have, Sal. Most people, if they'd woken up during an operation, would have panicked. You just lay there as calm as could be, going, I'm not meant to be awake right now, am I? Okay, so and it got me into a lot of trouble, as I think I told some of you, where I spent a period of my life in my 20s when I was in and out of hospital quite a bit for various things. And what they found out was whichever ward I was in, that the people in the ward, got well very quickly. And I said, yeah, they want to get away from me. And what they did is, I remember going in, I had to go in for some pretty invasive tests and things. And I remember them actually asking me if they could put me in a cancer ward. And I said, why? Do I have cancer? And they said, no. But if any ward needs your sense of humor, it would be the cancer ward. And we wondered whether you would consider letting us put you in there. And I said, if you honestly think that who I am will make a difference in their lives, you bet. I don't have a problem. Because they live to regret that. You do know that, right? Because you know how much trouble I got into in that cancer ward. But, they did want to put me in there. So, I was busy organizing bridge parties and, all those sort of things. And people were just, almost popping stitches. They were laughing so much. But wealth is not about having a lot of money. It's about having a lot of options. Isn't that true? Well, Nyasha saying about her mom, we've all been, thinking about you and praying for you, Nyasha, and your mom, because I know it's not just about your mom, it's about the whole family of feeling this pressure, right? And we are delighted that you are able to, help her and help her recover. And it's good to hear that she's able to swallow. Funny enough, and it might be a thought for you, Nyasha. I was trying to work out what I wanted to eat for dinner today, and I didn't feel like eating. So what I took was a meal that I had, which was some meat and potatoes and stuff. And I turned it all I just put it in the blender and turned it into a soup. But I still had the protein, the vegetables and everything else. It just didn't look like that, right? It was just a soup. So maybe if she's struggling to swallow stuff, you might want to say to her, would you like me to blend this up so it's easier for you to take? You can still have this food, but what we'll do is we'll blend it so you can drink it rather than eat it until her throat is less sore. Yeah, Jody, I want to tell you that I thought it was amazing honor, quite honestly. Um, but it did cause a few problems. It definitely caused a few problems because I literally did have people close to, popping stitches and things at one point. But, the other thing I did was I said that if anybody came out of an operation and threw up, we were going to find them. And, nobody, it was really amazing. Nobody threw up after an operation. It was really, and they said it's unheard of. All right, so Niesh is saying I won't be available for the broadcast on Sunday because I'll be staying for the baby. That's awesome. That's no problem, Nyasha. Thank you for letting us know, and we wish you lots of luck and fun with the baby. That is awesome. All right, so Jody's reminding me that it's time for the countdown. So for those of you who want reminding, let's see what we can find for you. All right, let's start with the order that they're in. Easter, for those of you who celebrate Easter, 5 months away and 5 days. For those of you like me who celebrate spring and don't want to worry about winter, it's only 131 days and counting now. Yay. We just put the clocks back. Just so you know, the clocks will go forward in 120 days. Yay. For the romantics, Valentine's Day is now only 3 months and 7 days away. For those of you who have not finished your Christmas shopping, you have 46 days left. For those of you in America, you have just 19 days until Thanksgiving. Oh, Jody, is that why you're going up to Maine? You're going to go up for Thanksgiving? Or I think are you going the week before Thanksgiving, I think? Let me know, please. And just a reminder for those of you who are sending cards overseas, all right, try and get them in the mail by the end of the month if you possibly can, to make sure they get there in time. So hopefully some of today's broadcast made you smile a bit. And hopefully you will remember. Okay, you're planning to be there on the 17th and 18th. That's about 10 days before. Am I right? When is Thanksgiving? 28th or something. Am I right? I'm sort of making it up. I made it up correctly. Well done, Sal. That's good. All right, so I really want you to remember, right? If you are starting to get stressed about anything, you control your stress. Nobody else does. So remember to stay calm. And by the way, Jody, you did a great job of keeping me calm this week. Thank you for that. And, I think it's really amazing that we can sort of help one another. Niash is saying, thanks for praying. Okay, I don't know. Leftover food. She doesn't want soft food. She prefers to bite, to have small things to bite on. There you go. So don't make her soup. No. That Niasha, when you've got somebody who's sick, wherever you can, make them what they want to eat, right? So if she doesn't want soup, she wants something she can chew on. That's awesome. Just make it small enough that it doesn't hurt too much. And also soft enough that it doesn't hurt too much. Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it, that we, that's what I've always said, Jody, about Dear Mama Sal. The greatest gift we have is to be there for one another as we go through these crises. And life is full of them, aren't they? As some of you know, we are now, where are we? Let me have a look here. By Tuesday latest, I will know whether the deal that is on my house that I like so much, whether it's still going to go forward. And the sense at the moment is that it may not. And, that means that I will be right back at square one and starting all over again for yet again another time. But it is what it is. And I just keep reminding myself my house is going to sell eventually, and it is going to sell to the right person. I actually believe that this person is the right person. So I hope that we can still do a deal, as they say. I hope that the fear doesn't get the better of her, because I know she genuinely would love my house, right? Because we enjoy similar things. And this house has made me very happy for the past 20 years. So what I wanted to do is to thank you all for being here and smiling with me, because I can assure you that I've enjoyed the smile as well. And to let you know that for those of you who were here at lunchtime, it turned out that the call that I got from Best Buy was not about them having fixed my computer. It was about something completely different. And so I'm still on the loaner computer and still trying to do what I can to work with the system. And yes, you're saying our healthcare system is poor. They don't care for the sick. The sick have to worry for themselves. Well, I assure you that your healthcare is probably better than I've seen in some places in Africa. So be grateful you have what you have, all right? There have been some places I've gone to in my life, Nyasha, where they would probably think that your healthcare system was brilliant, all right? So we all, in a way, need to be grateful for what we've got. I understand that it's not as good as some others, that I understand. But isn't it wonderful that she had the operation? Isn't it wonderful that she survived it? And isn't it wonderful that she's coming and she's on the mend? I'm so grateful. And thank you all for your prayers on that one. All right, everybody. So, have a wonderful weekend. And I will see some of you on Sunday. And on Sunday, we will be doing Soul Sunday. And I look forward to that. If you have any input that you want to give me, if you need to have me talk about a particular subject or anything, please remember to write to me at DearMamaSal.com. Please know that I do my best to answer those emails whenever I can. Jody, thank you for being my admin, as usual. And by the way, if you want to hear how brilliant Jody is, today when we were doing the noontime broadcast, for some reason, the live chat wasn't working. And Jody was literally taking screenshots of the live chat, sending them to me on Facebook. So I could read them and answer them. It was just amazing, Jody, wasn't it? It was like a well-orchestrated play. I was just so impressed that we knew each other well enough that we could do that and make it look like it was seamless. You did just such a great job. Teamwork, absolutely. And, I kept laughing at myself and thinking, I don't think there are many people that could do this as calmly as Jody appears to be doing it. You did an amazing job. And it's a pleasure to have you on my team. That's all I can tell you. Isabel, thank you. I hope all is well with you in Montreal. Have you had snow yet? I presume you probably have by now. And also, is that cold snap coming in and going to hit you as well, Isabel? Because I hear that it's quite a serious, what do they call it? The Arctic bomb or something? Yeah, Jody, it definitely is my pleasure. Thank you. I'm glad you must realize that you definitely still have 2 brain cells working, that you can do that. To be able to multitask like that is just amazing to me. You're busy looking at the comments, you're taking screenshots and then getting them onto Facebook and sending them to me. And I was busy looking at them on a different device. It was just like, wow, we are so good. You had a super 50th. Okay, and it doesn't scare you anymore. Okay, fine. So just take it easy. Everybody be safe is what I'm saying. All right, everybody, thank you for being here and laughing with me and not at me. Or laughing at me as well, maybe. This is DearMamaSal with a very sore throat, apparently, saying we'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye for now. Bye.